What kind of person must I become to achieve all I want? And I'll give you time to write that down now. What kind of person must I become to achieve all I want? What you become helps you to achieve, and what you achieve helps you to become. And the more you become, the more you can achieve, and the more you achieve, the more you can become.
I have an insane belief in my own ability to manifest things. Insane belief. I think it's ultimately complete sanity. I believe we're creators, and I believe we create with every thought and every word. Every moment is pregnant with the next moment of your life. We all start out with a false belief about ourselves, with some untrue thing that we believe walking through our lives. I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm gonna fail. Whatever your basic mistaken belief about yourself is, you form a personality around. You know, it's the grain of sand in the oyster. So I form characters that way a lot of times. I'll ask myself, what's the speck of sand?
You are a much more interesting person than you give credit for, because you're trying to act, trying to fit into the group and be what other people want you to be. We all want the power to change ourselves. That's why self-help books do so well. But you can't begin to change yourself in any meaningful way until you confront who you really are. If you go out in public and you don't look in a mirror, you're going to look really weird. You can't begin to improve your looks until you look in the mirror. You can't begin to change yourself until you look into that mirror of who you really are. All that other stuff that you don't want to confront.
You take this orange and you squeeze it as hard as you can squeeze it. And you ask yourself, what will come out? And what comes out when you squeeze an orange? Orange juice. Never, no matter how many times you squeeze it, will apple juice come out. And the next question is why? Why when you squeeze an orange as hard as you can squeeze it, does orange juice come out? The reason that orange juice comes out when you squeeze it is because that's what's inside. Now you extend the metaphor and someone squeezes you. That is, someone says something about you that you don't like. Someone behaves towards you in a way that you find offensive. And out of you comes anger, hatred, bitterness, tension, fear, anxiety, stress. And immediately you say, the reason that comes out of me is because of how he said it, or the way that she said that, or because they did that. But the truth is, the reality is, that what comes out is what's inside. And if you don't like what's inside, you can change it.
We don't rise to the standards we have when others are watching. We fall to the standards we have when no one is watching. The only work that really matters is the work that no one sees. It shows you who you really are, rather than who you say you are.
You should be a monster. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You know, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. You want to take a back seat and all of that. It's like, no. Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster. And then you should learn how to control it. You might as well take the risks that are adventurous. And that's a very good thing to understand. And what is also useful to understand in that manner is that there isn't anything more adventurous than the truth. This is something that took me a long time to figure out. Well, you can craft your words to get what you want. You know, and people do that all the time. They craft their words so they can avoid taking responsibility for things they should take responsibility for, or they can craft their words to gain an advantage that they really don't deserve. That's what you do when you manipulate. It's like you'll feel like an imposter, you'll feel like a fool because you are, and you'll think, I'll never get there, and the destination might look very distant, but if you take a sufficiently small first step and get the ball rolling, you can be cruising along at a pretty good rate, generally faster than you'll think.
What's going on in one's psychology there? Is it building evidence of your own capabilities and capacity?
Definitely. What seems to happen when you expose people to small but challenging tasks, it does two things. It makes them more skilled because now they're actually dealing with the problem. And so they're acquiring the new perceptions and the new behaviors that are mastery. So they're actually expanding their domain of conceptual structures and actions. That's both conception and skill. But at the same time, they're seeing themselves as the actors that can change the direction of their life.
Real self-confidence doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror. Real self-confidence comes from giving the world irrefutable proof you are who you say you are.
You have to be open-minded to the possibilities that I can do this. Once you shut your mind down to the possibility that it can be achieved, there's no way it can happen.
If you want some kind of a good outcome, you're going to have to work hard for it. And if you don't work hard for something, you're not going to get an outcome that's really worth much.
No one's perfect.
Nope.
I'm not perfect now. I never will be. You're not, and you never will be, but you're better than you were yesterday, and you're going to be better tomorrow.
When you awaken, you begin to see that you were never meant to blend in. The noise of the crowd fades. What once felt like belonging begins to feel like a distraction. You stop chasing the hive's approval because you finally understand. Your loyalty belongs to your own soul. This isn't loneliness, it's alignment. Be patient as the universe rearranges itself around your new frequency. Those meant for you feel your presence without effort. Don't trade your authenticity for the comfort of being liked. In the stillness of solitude, your energy grows clear and magnetic, calling forth those who recognize the truth now and then.
To meditate, it means to become familiar with. So as you become familiar with those thoughts, you become conscious of how you speak, you become aware of how you act, you notice how you're feeling. The more conscious you become of those unconscious programs, the less unconscious you'll go in your waking day. Why? Because it's not enough to just have a great meditation and get up and get on the freeway and get in traffic and getting stressed. You just return back to the old self again. Our job then is to sustain that modified state of mind and body the entire day. And if you can, get ready, because something different or unusual is going to begin to happen in your life, and it will come as a coincidence or a synchronicity. And that's breadcrumbs from the divine saying you're on the path, just keep doing it. There'll be another one, just keep staying in that.
Gratitude's an excellent practice, man.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of arrogance and resentment. I think it's a great thing to become an expert at. And I think that you can allow yourself happiness if you're grateful.
You know, there's some things that it takes a long time to come back from. Like, I've watched people in my clinical practice try to walk back from significant moral errors. It is not that easy. You know, there's that Catholic doctrine that you can be saved and redeemed no matter what your sin. It's like, that's true, but that doesn't mean you don't have to face the consequences of what you've done. And like, if you want to repent and you've done something seriously wrong, so much of you has to change, that it's almost like you have to die in order to be reborn. So, anyways, for those who are listening, that's another reason why you should try to step forward carefully in your life, you know, because you will be called to attend for your misbehavior, and it will occur during a period of crisis. And if you're a mess and a deceitful mess, you're going to find yourself in trouble so profound you can barely imagine it.
Your brain brings up the past because you have not specified the proper road forward. You go back into the road you took that was the wrong road. You find out what the right road was. Now you've atoned, you've confessed, you've repented, and you have specified the proper pathway forward. And that's what you do when you negotiate a solution to a problem with your wife, too. Here's what we're doing. Here's the problem. Here's what we did wrong. Here's what we'll try to do in the future. And if that new future map works, that past trauma will be rendered irrelevant.
Unchosen suffering is going to happen in life. Mm-hmm. Your parents are going to pass away, loved ones are going to die, your relationships are going to break down, your body is going to fail you, you're going to become ill or sick or destitute. Things are going to happen that you have no control over. And the only way that you can prepare yourself for unchosen suffering is with chosen suffering. You can elect to put yourself into a position to become a stronger alloy of whatever the metal is that you're made of. And by purposefully choosing difficult things, you will armor yourself against that situation. It's still going to suck. But think about how much more fragile you would be if you hadn't overcome all of this stuff.
You are in uncertainty. When you feel at risk, when you feel exposed, don't tap out. Stay brave, stay uncomfortable, stay in the cringy moment, lean into the hard conversation, and keep leading. Stay brave.
So is there something called an objective world made up of matter, molecules, atoms, subatomic particles, having their source in the quantum vacuum, or are all these human constructs for modes of knowing and experience in human consciousness, using another experience in human consciousness that we call the human biology and the human mind? It's an experience. Is your body the container of awareness, or is your body a changing, fluctuating experience in awareness? So if you think you are your body, you have to tell me which one. It's a changing fluctuation of perceptions. Toddler, baby, etc.
Just feel in your heart now. Allow for a moment yourself to recognize that the light of the universe can pour through you. Only when you understand that the sounds your ear can hear and the sights your eyes can see are merely the tiniest reflections of the grandeur of the Source, who you are. You'll notice, as I have noticed, that as the Spirit becomes a more focal point in your life starts to become very simple. Once you've honored the connection that's already standing behind you, above you, and in your heart, you've got your playmate for eternity. And all the rest of it is the support system. We know that we're of the Spirit.
What do you think happens when we die? When we die? Great question. When you're born, you are like a single drop of water, flying upward, separated from the one giant consciousness. You get older, you descend back down, you die. You land back into the water, become one with the ocean again. No more separated, no more suffering. One consciousness. Death is a happy return, like coming home.
What is, there's such a thing as a collective mind. Many thoughts are not your thoughts, really. They arise in the collective mind. One could almost think of them as little bubbles floating around. Little bubbles, thought forms floating around, and if the thought form discovers any resonance with anything inside you, for example, any form of negativity. And then there's a thought form in the collective mind. And then that bubble comes. And before you know it, the irritation has become something bigger. So you connect with the universal mind and it moves through you. So whatever awareness arises in you is not just your benefit, it has an impact on the totality of the collective mind.
How can I suspend this part of me and allow the part of me that wants to be at peace? And doing that with your children and doing that with a waiter. I mean, a waiter who comes to you and is like, hassled and frazzled and has been busy and all of that. And your ego says, wait a minute, I'm here and I'm important and I have a right to be served and I have a right to be served now. That's the ego part of you. If you can suspend that and say, you are a lucky man tonight. You got somebody who's stealing from his sacred self. You know what? You'll get served so fast and with such gratitude just for being kind, if you practice it. These are our greatest teachers because anybody in your life who can push a button and send you into a frenzy is the person who's your greatest teacher. You know why? Because they teach you that you haven't mastered yourself at this moment. You don't know how to choose peace. In A Course in Miracles, there's a wonderful line that says, I can choose peace rather than this.
If you have bad feelings, don't try and replace them with good feelings. Don't try and either ignore them, push them down, or somewhat talk yourself into it. But anyway, he says, when you're having a bad time, examine that badness, observe it mindfully, study this phenomenon, and learn its mechanics. That's what we're trying to do here. He says, the way out of a trap is to study the trap itself, learn to see how it's built. You do this by taking that thing apart piece by piece. The trap can't trap you if you have taken it to pieces. The result is freedom. So rather than trying to escape from the trap, take it apart.
When you're a good person with a good heart, life's going to test you. Everything and everyone wants to see how much you can take before you break. People take advantage of your kindness, lie to your face and vanish when you need them most, and that hurts bad. You keep showing up because that's who you are. But here's the messed up part. You're the one who listens. You're the one who cares. And somehow you're still the one left hanging, the one left alone, when it's your turn to need somebody. But let me tell you something, being a good person in a cold, selfish world, that's a rare kind of strength. Most people would never understand it.
You only get one chance on this planet. Think about that. As long as humankind exists, you will never exist again. Your thoughts, your voice, your story, completely unique. That's the power of scarcity. Like rare gems or sunrise moments, your value comes from being one of a kind. So stop comparing. Stop shrinking. The world needs you exactly as you are, because your existence, that alone makes you priceless.
How do we learn to say no better then?
If you actually get the impact, if you really think about it, you realize how important it is. And if you realize that you'd be free, that's worth something. It's just by noticing, not by judging yourself, but by noticing where you have trouble saying no, what the impact is, and that it's just a story that you're telling yourself. It's true. There might be some people in your life that if you said no to them, they'd reject you. That might be true, because you've trained them. You've trained them that you're the guy who doesn't say no. That's what they signed up for. And all of a sudden you start saying no. Say, oh, this is not what I don't want. But then you have a decision to make. Who would you rather please, them or yourself? I can also tell you, people that really cared about you and really loved you, they'd welcome it. They'd say, it's about time. So it's not that you lose anything in the end. You'd find out who your friends were.
Yeah.
But the people that reject you when you say no to honor yourself, they are not your friends in the first place, were they?
The fastest way to take control of your life is to stop controlling everyone around you. You have no idea how much time and energy and attention you are wasting trying to control other people.
Never say you can't do it. Say, I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet. And that's true with everything. It's like, there's nothing that you can't do. You may not have done it yet. We don't know if you can do it or not until you really practice. And then you find out if you can do it or not, or how well you can do it.
To ask yourself is, who am I? Where am I going? What do I want to accomplish? And there are three major areas of goals that you have to think about. The first is your personal and your family goals. These are the reasons why you're alive. What do you want to accomplish for yourself and for your family? Write them down. Define them clearly. The second set of goals that you have to ask is your business, your career, your financial, your material goals. What is it that you want to accomplish in the external world? Where do you want to make your contribution? The third type of goals you have to ask about are your self-development goals. And in my estimation, your ability and your willingness and your tenaciousness in developing yourself is the key to accomplishing everything else. So here's three questions that you can ask. The first question is, what would you do? What would you set as a goal for yourself? What would you want to be or have if you just won $1 million in the lottery? What would you do if you just won $1 million? If you had all the time and money, you're completely free to decide to do anything you wanted. If you won $1 million, what would you do differently? Think about that. Hold that in your mind. The second question is, what would you do if you just learned today that you only had 6 months to live? What if you only had 6 months to live? What would you stop doing? What would you do more of? Who would you spend time with? Now, the answer to that question is very interesting because what it tells you is what you really value. What is really important to you? And what we have found is that self-esteem, satisfaction, happiness in life comes from getting your goals and your activities congruent with your values, with your priorities, with what you consider to be really important. Now, here's the third question. The third question is, what one great thing would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? If you knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that you could not fail, what one thing would you set as a goal for yourself? Because sometimes answering that question will tell you the one thing that you've been put on this earth to accomplish.
I don't think I need you to write this down, but I want you to think about it. What is it you want in your life? You can write it down if you want to, but write it down in detail so that if you were to visualize it, you could see it, you could hear it, you could even smell it. The more detail you can put into the mental picture of what you want to create, the more easy it is for them to know what you want.